but it's 5 minutes. I think the recording is in progress. So guys, please, just one last push out to everyone in your group. This is going to be one of the best calls you're probably ever going to hear from a very good friend, mentor, family member of mine. So, all right, cool. Let's get this started. All right, welcome to the call, guys. Look, appreciate your time as always. These are always powerful, these Mindset Mondays or Monday Mindset, however you want to put it. And, you know, I've had the pleasure and obviously the blessing to be able to share it myself and then host these calls myself. But this time, you know, we always want to just raise the bar again and see like, who can we actually attract into this organization? And so, yeah, the person that's going to be leading tonight's call is, yeah, I mean, it's really hard to even put it into words. We've worked together for about, I don't know how many years now, probably about 3 or 4 years, like properly. And there's so many amazing things I can say about Pete. First of all, you know, his name is Pete Cohen. Feel free to give him a follow on Instagram. An incredible servant leader. So much wisdom. Had the pleasure of meeting him in a previous company, actually a network marketing company, which is really interesting. And I'm sure he'll share a little bit of why someone like him got involved in network marketing. And the reason I say someone like him is because he already had a tremendous amount of success before he made that decision. So he's an author. He's written, I think it's over 20 books, many of those best-selling books. He spoke to thousands and thousands all around the world as a keynote speaker, gets paid a vast amount of money to actually speak on stage for big corporations. Like I said, he's a best-selling author, a life coach, a teacher, a mentor. But most importantly, what I love about Pete is that how relentless and selfless he is as a human being, because, you know, he's worked with top athletes all over the world, Olympic medalists, Olympic champions. I know he's done a really cool documentary with Ronnie O'Sullivan. I think he's worked with so many people, but his desire and just selflessness to always want to help the everyday person just to get from where they are to where they want to be is ridiculous. Like, I've spent a lot of time with him. We've actually traveled around the world together. We've been to Vegas, Africa. We've been everywhere. But what makes me laugh is just his sheer consistency. And I've never met anyone who's just so consistent who actually does, because there's a lot of people in this industry and in this whole, you know, the whole entrepreneurship world who talk a lot about how they do this and how they do that. But I've never met anyone. I stay around his house, for example, you know, 4 o'clock in the morning, you'll hear some crazy stuff going on downstairs, and he's on his exercise bike, and he just does everything he says. He shows up every single day in every single way. And like I said, the most impressive thing and the most amazing thing is how he shows up for the everyday person. And he is literally here to serve. And yeah, I'm doing my best to just tell you about this person, but really you just have to meet him. All right. So without further ado, Pete, please come onto the call, come onto the stage, and you know, just share all the wisdom you have. Yeah, give us whatever you got. So I really appreciate you for being here, first of all. So
I will. Spain 0, Sweden 0. So I appreciate the fact that, you know, you could be watching the football right now, but you're here. And I can tell you one thing, that I'll put this down, I don't actually need to be holding it. I'm excited. I didn't know what I was coming into. You know, when Dan asked me to do this, I didn't know there'd be so many of you, to be honest. I've been up since 4 o'clock this morning. So I was thinking I'm quite tired, but literally when I just saw everyone here and then I heard what Dan was saying, I thought, okay, shit, I better raise my game. I was actually thinking I've got cameras here. I've got a massive screen. I could have put everyone up on the screen, but let's just make do with what we've got. How much time have I got, Dan?
Whatever you want, Pete.
No, I didn't mean that. I mean, how much time have I got left on this earth before I die? I thought, because you're like the Oracle, I thought you might know.
I think about 100.
100. So I've got 49 years left because I'm 51. I was 51 in May. So look, let me just be honest with you guys. What I'd love you to get out of the period of time that we spend together this evening is have a different perspective of something that I think is the most important thing, which is your future and your relationship to your future. You know, Dan gave me a really nice introduction there, and I really appreciate it. But, you know, Dan is one of those people that honestly, if he asked me to do anything, I'd do it for him. And it's really interesting how the tides have turned. But I really want you guys to know that you really are you know this, but you're really in a great business. You're in a fantastic business. And Bradley also, who I've known for a long time, and I've seen how hard he has worked as well, because Bradley, myself, and Dan were in another network marketing business, which I'm still in. You know, that's a business that I still love. But I love the business that you're in. In fact, my father-in-law, who, you know, we have an account. My father-in-law was, you know, I don't mind telling you this. My father-in-law's been watching, what's his name? Lewis. I was very impressed with you earlier on, Lewis. He's been watching you, you know. So I'm very careful about what I do, because, you know, I know what I'm here to do, and I have a certain amount of time and energy and space. So I'm very careful about what I do and where I put my time, because my time is limited. But I can quite clearly see what you're doing, and it's very impressive. It's very impressive on so many different levels. It makes so much sense, the business that you're in. The training is superb. I think it's brilliant because you have to be patient. You have to learn. You have to, I suppose, just bide your time. You have to be a servant leader. You have to see a bigger picture. You have to work on yourself. I mean, for the I Am Academy to be associated with Bob Proctor, I mean, that kind of says it all. So I don't know how lucky you guys know you are to be in the business that you're in and with the people that you're in. But in terms of Dan, there's no one who wants Dan to achieve more than I do. And the irony is that I brought someone into my business, who brought someone into their business, who brought someone into their business, who brought Dan into the business I was in. All those people left, and Dan and I, as he mentioned, we just became like rock solid, you know, and we've known as you said, we've known each other for a long time. And there's some of you who are in that business as well, who are now in this business. And I've only met you through Dan. So if you're ready, I'm ready to really kind of drop a few big things for you that I believe, if you apply what I'm about to say, your whole world is going to change. If you're ready for that. I don't know if you're ready, because I'm not you, but I'm ready. So what I'm about to say, you might not agree with all of it, and that's up to you. And normally when you hear someone who speaks a lot, the chances are you might feel a bit pumped up afterwards and a little bit, yeah, I'm ready. Like, I don't know, I saw Rocky 3. When anyone's here, just put your hand up if you've seen Rocky 3. You know, when he fights Mr. T or Clubber Lang in the second fight. I don't know if you remember, Clubber Lang looks at him in the face and goes, "I'm going to bust you up." And Rocky looks at him and goes, "Go for it." Yeah, in the first fight, Rocky's kind of lost his eye of the tiger. Rocky's lost his focus, even though this isn't a real story, right? But when that film ended, I ran. I came out of the cinema and I just ran. I don't know if you remember that scene in the film where he's running on the beach. Right? If you haven't seen it, it is actually a pretty good film to see about having the eye of the tiger, because the eye of the tiger is the focus of attention on something. So where is your focus of attention? I don't know. Have I really got your focus of attention right now? Do I really have it? I probably don't, because it's one of the most valuable things you own, right? Your attention. And your attention can go in multiple different places. Right now, there are things that are pulling on your attention, even without realizing it. In a few moments, I don't know how long I'm going to have it for, but you're going to feel a compulsion to go and check something. You will feel it. And some of you are doing it right now. You're looking at something, and that's fine, because what you're doing is actually none of my business. But do I really have your 100% attention? I don't know. But when you work with people like Ronnie O'Sullivan, who I worked with for 2 years, some of you know who Ronnie is. Ronnie, 6-time snooker world champion. I worked with him when he won the world title for the 2nd time. One of the things I noticed about Ronnie straight away after just observing was all these people around him who I just thought, who are these people? So I actually just said to him one day, I said, Ronnie, I don't mean to be rude, but why do these people always come wherever we're going? What have these people got to do with you becoming the greatest snooker player that ever played? And he didn't like it at first. And then he told me, he said, you know what? I just kind of feel responsible for these people. I said, Ronnie, you're the 5 people. You are the sum of the 5 people that you spend most time with. And these people that you're spending most time with, that guy's smoking weed every single second that you're not looking. He's outside. These people are distracting you. They don't care about you, Ronnie. They just want to be around you because they just want to be, look at who I'm with. I said, Ronnie, what's essential is you build a team of people around you that support you in you achieving what it is that you want to achieve. I worked with the Arsenal football team in 2003, 2004, where they did something which no other team has done before. They became the Invincibles. How did they do that? They learned to focus their attention on, what they were doing, but there was always a bigger picture. So what I want to talk to you tonight is about one word, okay? And the one word is identity. Just that one word, identity. What is your identity? I mean, that's a big question. How do you answer that question? What does the word identity mean to you? If anyone wants to just unmute yourself and tell me, what does the word identity mean to you? Anyone? You don't have to, but if you want to open your mouth and speak, you're more than welcome to. What is identity? Okay, don't worry about it. We can do some question and answers later on. But how many of you immediately thought, oh, I might say something here? And then you maybe heard that little voice of doubt. You know, we all have that voice, right? That voice. The one that's always talking, right? You know what your mind does, right? Your mind plays tricks on you, doesn't it? Have you ever tried to go to sleep at night and you've been thinking and you can't stop thinking? Have you ever thought someone was following you and there was no one there? Have you ever been thinking about someone and what they were doing? That's what your mind does. Your mind plays tricks on you. Unless you decide to focus your mind is going to go where it's gone before. And this is my big challenge. The word identity, what it means the state of being the same. The state of being the same. So whether we realize it or not, we are who we think we. That's for most people. I'd say for at least 98% of people around the world, every single day they recreate exactly what they did yesterday. So they wake up and they do exactly what they did yesterday. They have the same thoughts, the same feelings, the same actions, and that's their identity. Have you ever had that before? You identify with who you are. Then you attract someone like a female or a male, whatever your inclination is, and that person pisses you off. And after a bit, you think, you know what, I can't take this anymore. So you leave that person, you think, I'm never, ever going to be with anyone like that again. Guess what you do? You go and find someone who is exactly the same type of person. Why? Because that's who you were identified with. Your identity was attracting that type of person. With your current identity, what is it you're attracting? How do you see yourself? Let me give you another example. I used to be a personal trainer many years ago, 1989. Most of you weren't even born then, right? 1989, started working in a gym, couldn't believe I got this job. You have to sit down with people and you ask them what they want. So you'd sit them down, you'd pinch them and punch them, basically do all these tests on them, body fat, measurements, basically just tell them that they're pathetic and their fitness is awful. In most cases. And then, you'd show them how to use these machines, and then you maybe see them once or twice. And in most cases, you'd never see them again. They didn't like exercise. But the funny thing was, when you asked them what they wanted, they didn't know what they wanted. They all knew what they didn't want. They all knew the fact that they were uncomfortable being overweight. They all knew how they were in the past, but hardly any of them had a vision of what they wanted to do and what they wanted to achieve. And this might sound like stuff you might know, but how well do you know your future? How well do you know the person that you are becoming? How much of a relationship do you have with your future self? How much do you talk to your future self? Let me tell you some studies that we were involved with many years ago. We wired people's brains up to these machines called fMRI machines, where we could see different brain activity. So we asked everyone to right now think of yourself, and we'd see a part of the brain light up. Then we'd ask people to think of a stranger. We'd see another part of the brain light up. Then we asked them to think of themselves in the future. Guess which part of the brain lit up for over 80% of the people that are involved in this study? No surprise, right? No surprise. Over 80% of people, when they thought of the future, the same part of the brain lit up that lit up for the stranger. What does that mean? It means people don't have a relationship with their future. That's why people are killing themselves. You know, most people are living a future they don't want. If you could show people like Ebenezer Scrooge, if you could show them that, look, if you keep doing this, this is where you're going to end up. You're going to end up in hospital with a horrible disease. If you could actually show people and take them there, they just don't want to wake up to the future that they're creating. And I dare you, in fact, I double dare you to wake up to the future that is possible, regardless of your past. Because most of us, what we do is we take our identity with us. Now, I don't know how educated any of you are, but you don't need to be educated. I'm not educated. I am educated, but I hated school. I've got 1 GCSE, got no A levels. I've got 3 degrees. I've written 20 books. So what? That's what I've done. I don't even like talking about what I've done because it's nothing in comparison to what I'm going to do. What I'm going to do is just so massive that what I've done just doesn't matter to me. It matters to other people because other people, when you tell them what you've done, they tend to pay attention. But to me, honestly, it's just not important. What is important to me is what I'm going to do. And what are you going to do with what you've done? Or what are you going to do with what you've got? What are you going to do with what's happened to you? Most people, what they'll do is keep doing what they did and wondering why they keep getting the same result. And this is the controversial thing. Now, I don't know if you've ever heard of personality testing, right? Where they tell you what type of person they are. I'm not a big fan of that. I think most of it is bullshit. Most of it. There's a whole field called Myers-Briggs. It's based on what's called pseudoscience. It's not really based on real evidence, right? I can see that I am slightly, there I am, slightly out of focus. So when people tell you I'm this sort of a person, I'm this color, I'm a red, I'm a green. I mean, there's something in it, but you know what I think your personality is? Your personality is who you're becoming. And who are you becoming? Have you decided who you're going to become? I don't know because I don't know you, but I know Dan pretty well. And I can tell you, he's work in progress, like we all are work in progress, but he is identifying with his future self. Does this make sense? Is this kind of, you know, because in all the work I do with athletes, this is the most important thing. I've worked with athletes who've won gold medals in Olympic Games. You have to have these conversations with people. I'm building a relationship, not only with the athlete, I'm building a relationship with the future of that athlete. We're talking to that future self. We know who that person is. And we are bringing that person to life every single day. So I don't know how many of you have ever heard of the statue of David that Michelangelo did. This is a statue that's in, I think it's not in Venice, it's in Florence. I've never seen it, but this beautiful statue that apparently that was outside in the street for years, not the statue, the marble, and people just walk past it every day. And he saw this marble and he saw in his mind what he was going to create, which was this beautiful statue. You can Google it, you can see it, the statue of David. They didn't have any kind of Black and Decker drills. You know, he must have had these just real old chisels and bits of tools to carve this thing out. What are you carving out? What is the future that you're creating? That isn't just words. You're going to say, this is what I'm going to do. This is how much I'm going to have. No, actually seeing, being able to step into you in a year's time, or 3 years' time, and 5 years' time, and identifying with that person, being that person. That's the biggest challenge that I think any of us will ever face in our life, to become, because I can tell you, again, please forgive me, because I don't know all of you and I might never see you again. And this might not apply to all of you. So I don't know. But I can tell you what got you here is not going to get you there. It's not going to get you there. What got you here, congratulations. I can tell you probably what got you here is pain, heartache, disaster, diagnosis, prognosis. It got you here. But wherever there is, it's going to be some form of reinvention. Some form of different relationship with yourself, different relationship with others, different relationship with getting uncomfortable, pushing yourself every single day. And I know there's a few of you that do this because, you know, when I see Lewis, I've spoken to Lewis a few times. I mean, Lewis is relentless. How old are you, Lewis?
24.
24. What do you think about what I've just said? I mean, Lewis, I mean, you've read probably more self-help books than I've read. What do you think about what I'm saying? Is it just all bullshit? Or come on, give me some feedback.
Yeah, no, first of all, I mean, everything you're saying is spot on, and it's so powerful because, you know, in IM, like you said, the leadership here is second to none. And the leaders in IM always say that what got you to whatever rank you're at or whatever your train account is at will not get you to the next part, right? You need to meet new people, get to the next level of yourself, to get to wherever it is you want to be. So, you know, like exactly what you said is just perfect. What got us here is not going to get us there. And that is what I hear from all the leaders in IM time and time again.
So did you ever listen to David Emanitier or
Alex Morton, David Emanitier,
and what's his name, Ivan Tapia?
Yeah,
I mean, these guys, I mean, because these are guys I know, you know, I've spent time with these guys. I've been on cruises with them, and you and this is the thing, this is my challenge actually to you, Lewis, right? I mean, you're already good at this anyway. You'd be a great person to work with because you always want to get better. And I'm going to tell you this again, I'll be curious as to your opinion about this. But one of the biggest problems in the world right now is comfort. And nothing grows. People have heard, you've all heard this. How many times have you heard it in a book or someone has said it to you? Nothing grows in your comfort zone. So what the hell does that actually mean? What is the comfort zone? Could I show you my comfort zone and go, here's my comfort zone. There it is. Do you want to step in? It's really beautiful. It's really comfortable. The comfort zone is all it is it's a construct of your mind that's telling you this is who I am. This is what I do. So if I said, hey, everyone right now, jump up, let's get up. Okay, come on. How many of you immediately go, no, I'm not doing that. That's not me. I'm just not me. If I said, hey, come on, let's all sing an ABBA song. Ready? Should we sing Dancing Queen? Yeah. You won't do that because that's not me. That's not me. I don't do that. What's the point? I'm not suggesting that you do that, but I do want to challenge you. And there's a few major points. The first one is identity, and I can help you. And I have something that you can all do. It's all free. I have a 30-day program. We don't sell you anything. And I created that 30-day program standing on this spot here. In December, my mum was diagnosed with cancer. The diagnosis wasn't good. She died in March. And you know what? I just thought to myself, what can I do with this situation? I couldn't see her because of the whole COVID thing. She didn't want to see me at that point. I thought, what can I do? And this is the next thing I want you to think about. What is the identity you want to create? Who do you want to be? Right? And these are the three main areas I'd like you to consider. Who do you want to be with your health and your energy? If all I had to do, right? Come on, let's be honest, guys. Let's be honest. Let's be brutal. If all you had to do was tell me what you wanted, right? And all I had to do was wave my magic wand, what would you tell me you wanted? How many of you would say, I want better health. I want more energy? How many of you? Just put your hand up and say, that's me. Yeah, please. Okay, how many of you say, I want better relationships with the people that matter most to me, my friends, my family. I want to be a better listener. I want to build relationships. How many of you say, all you got to do is say it. I'll wave my magic wand and you have it. And the same with your work and your wealth. How many of you would like more wealth? And again, and you've got it. Well, of course, we know it's not as simple as that. But you know what? Second thing I want to say, first thing was identity. The second word is abracadabra. Okay, does anyone know what abracadabra means? I didn't know what it meant until recently. It comes from Hebrew, right? And it means I create as I speak. What that means to me is when you say what you want, this is what I'm going to create. That's magic right there. Of course, doing it is the second part, right? But as a guy called Wayne Dyer, who's very well known in the field of personal development, even though he's dead, you know, he said, everything is created twice, once in our mind and once in reality. So the iPhone, you know, that was once created in Steve Jobs' head, and then he went about and built it. Well, he didn't build it. He got other people to build it. And boy, has that phone come a long way compared to the first iPhone, compared to this iPhone, because it's innovated. And that's what we need to do. Innovate, create a new identity, decide who we want to become and go and carve it out. But you know what? The biggest challenge for you doing that is you just don't feel like it, because we get comfortable. And I love what you were just saying there about, when you get to that level, when you get to that next level, that's the time to get to the next level. When you get to that level, it's time to go to the next level. To get to that level requires something more in you. So when you think, guys, when you think of Martin Luther King, what do you think of? Who immediately thinks of, I have a dream? Everyone thinks of that. But you know what else he said? He said the most important question that we should be asking each other is, what can I do for you? What can I do for you? What can I give you? How can I serve you? And I can tell you, the people who do the greatest in this industry, they are the ones who are obsessed with you. What makes you tick? What's important to you? How can I help you? How can I serve you? How can I be a positive influence in your life? And most people really struggle to do that because they're still lost in their own insecurity. They're still climbing the first mountain of, look at what I've got. Look at who I am. Look how many followers I've got. Look at the car I drive. I mean, it's nice, but there's more to life than that shit. Isn't the greatest thing in life how you can give to others? How you can contribute to someone else's life? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm that much older than most of you, that I've got to a different place in my life. That my life is just about growing and getting better and contributing. That's why I'm here. I'm not being paid to do this. I'm doing it because I would even pay to do it. How lucky and privileged am I that I get to meet all of you today? I might never meet you again, but there might be one thing I say today that makes you go, what do I need to do? I am committed to creating my future self. You see, it's not that we ever forget this. We never forget it. We never forget it. We know the reason most people are suffering right now, I believe, with depression and worry and anxiety and guilt and sadness and loneliness, because they know they're not being who they're capable of being. They're settling for who they think they are. They're settling, and then they're in that gap between where they are and where they're capable of being. They're not progressing. Your life is not meant to be still. Your life is meant to evolve, constant evolving, growing, moving forwards. But you know what? The biggest challenge with all of that is you just don't feel like it. Let me show you something, right? Look at this. See that map over there? That map has got pins in it from when I use an app called Clubhouse, which I think a lot of you have, let me just get myself back in focus. I use this app called Clubhouse. I've got, I don't know, 27,000 followers. And I've been connecting people all over the world because if I can't help someone, I want to find someone who has. So I've just built this big network of people by listening to people, by being there for people. And I've only just got started. And that's what Napoleon Hill talked about in Think and Grow Rich. He said, he said 2% of people have that desire. But I'm not talking about the desire of what you want to create. I'm talking about the desire of who you want to become. Who do you want to be? How many of you have ever done this exercise, or you've been asked to do this exercise, or you heard someone talk about it, where they say, what would you say to your younger self? What would you say to your former self if you could go back in time? That's a great exercise for a lot of people to do. But what about we did a different exercise? And the exercise was, how about I could take you into the future and you could meet yourself? You could sit down and have a dinner with you in 5 years' time. What would your 5-year you in the future say to you right now? If you've got a pen and paper, write it down. What would your you in 5 years' time say to you right now? Because I can tell you, I know this for a fact. Your future you is saying no to things that you're saying yes to. And your future you is saying yes to things that you're saying no to. If you can build a relationship with your future self, because you can take great advice from people. And when you think of some of the greatest people, especially in the business that you're in, they're the ones who are so involved with what they're creating. I feel very lucky that, you know, I'm involved with IAM, but in a very, you know, my father-in-law, we have an account and he's just learning and I'm watching over him. You know, I'm interested, I'm curious, you know, I'm not going all in because that's just not what I want to do right now. You know, I have got choices. You've got choices. What are you doing with the choices that you have? Strange, isn't it? I brought Dan directly into Organo, and now Dan has brought me into this business. It's crazy, right? And it's come through Bradley. I mean, to me, I don't care. I just care that it's making a difference and it's impacting the world. And when I saw the pictures of those of you that were at Dan's event on, was that Sunday? Yeah. See, Dan's told me so many times that he's pictured in that room being packed. And I know he's been frustrated that it's taken years to get happen, but it's happening. He's building an army. He's a fantastic leader. When you think about the person that this is so important. This is so important what I'm about to say to you. It might freak some of you out. You're already creating a new identity, but you probably haven't done it too consciously. Dan is such a different person to the person that he was 5 years ago, 6 years ago, 7 years ago. If I had shown Dan himself now with all of the people that he's working with, I reckon he would have had a heart attack. He would have just immediately, his heart would have exploded because he would have thought, shit, I can't do that. This is someone who didn't want to get up and speak, but this is now someone who realizes that he's got a message and there's something he has to do, and you could cut off his arms and his legs and he'd still carry on doing it because he has to build, he has to create, he has to make a difference. So I'd love to know from you, because look, I could carry on talking and talking and talking, but how much talking do I need to do for you to get the point? I dare you, you know, if I said to you this, look, I will give you £5 million in cash, right? In 365 days, 5 million in cash. But all you have to do is come round to my house, and at 6:59 a.m. every day for 365 days, all you got to do is just knock on my door. That's all you got to do. How many of you would say, I'm all in? How many of you would do it? 5 million in cash, right? Of course you'd do it. In fact, it's funny. In the other business I was in, I was just thinking about Bradley. Bradley called me up because I just won a Mercedes-Benz. I was in Sainsbury's of all places. And he called me up to say, you've just won a Mercedes, which I couldn't believe that I had, that in this fantastic business that I was in, which is a fantastic business. It's just, I think it's quite a difficult business to build mega money, but the product and the business was sound. And I won a car, you know, and the rewards that you get in your business are ridiculous if you do the work, if you're consistent. But the way to be consistent with something is to see the result of the consistency, because you can imagine doing that and me giving you the money. Forget that for a moment. Can you see yourself in 5 years' time as a result of doing what you're doing every day, being very meticulous with this process, doing your daily operation, whatever that is, whoever you're talking to about the business, the tradings that you're doing, being very, very regimented, very, very athletic, very, very advanced in it, because your future self knows more than you. And I tell you, by the way, this is a great strategy sometimes. If you're like not sure about whether to put a trade on, ask your future self, see what your future self says. What do you reckon? So look, I created a 30-day program that is designed, it's like 15 minutes a day. And that program is designed to help people build a connection to their future self. So it becomes as real as you could look at your hand. Being able to see who you're becoming is as real as that. So I'm happy if any of you, I know that of all of you that are here, of the 89 people, I can bet, I would put money on it. I put a bet on it, a trade on it, right? The 89 of you, I reckon 25 of you would finish it in 30 days. So you could start it today, you get the introduction and you get day one, and then every day you'd get an email for 30 days. Now I know you're probably busy anyway. And some of you, it might take you more than 30 days for some reason, because one day you might want to watch it a few times. But I reckon because of who you guys are, I reckon 30 of you will complete it. And the rest of you will come up with some excuse, the fact that you couldn't do it. Now, because I'm saying that to you, it might give you the edge to do it. But let me explain something around. You don't have to do it. And it's not the answer. It's a fantastic program. You know, it's the best program I've ever put together. But it's not the difference. You are the difference. The program is just some videos of me talking. It's like Think and Grow Rich. It's just words on a page. If you bring it to life, your whole world is going to change. Because I'll wrap this up and then I'm happy to take some questions around anything that I've said. When we look at the comfort zone, which doesn't exist, it's just an illusion of our mind. Where we can get stuck is we can get stuck in stagnation. And you know that that's where so many people are today. They're just stagnating. They're not evolving. We were talking before, Bradley and I, about someone we know who's just kind of advances and stagnates, And that's not a great place to be. Then you can have chaos. Chaos is a place where you're forced into change. You know, a global pandemic forces people into change. A 9/11, a disaster. It's called chaos. And very few people make great decisions in chaos. Then you can have order. I hate order. You know, order was when you work for a company like Waitrose or something. Not that there's anything wrong with Waitrose. And everything takes so long for anything to happen. It's got to go through 18 committees before someone decides to make up their mind about something. I can't stand it. It's the corporate world. You know, I'm not a corporate man. I work in the corporate world as a speaker and as a coach, but I'm not working in an environment where it takes forever for anything to happen. But then you've got the zone of discourse. That's what we're in. We're in the discourse. We're the disruptors. We want to erupt things. We want to break, as Arnie used to say, we don't want to break the law. We want to break the rules, right? That's what Dan to me represents. Dan is a rule breaker. So I'm not sticking to that. I want to break this. I want to make things better than they are. And unfortunately, to play in the realm of discourse, you need three things to get you there. Something forces you into it, like a disaster. You need a coach or a mentor, someone who will hold you accountable for what you say you're going to do. That's what coaches do. They ask you questions, they hold you accountable, so you keep moving forwards. Or you become someone who's self-triggered. And I don't know anyone who's self-triggered. People can trigger themselves, but I think most people, even the best of the best, they still need people around them who are coaching them in some way, shape, or form. Does this make sense? You're all competing, you're all out there, you're all doing the best that you can, but you can do better. What got you here isn't going to get you there. Most of us have got some work to do on ourselves. I think that's an ongoing process. I dare you to go through my 30-day program. I dare you. You can follow me on Instagram if you want. You just go to we can put it in the chat box, mi365.me. If you like podcasts, I've done 350 episodes. I've interviewed Ronnie O'Sullivan 3 times. I've interviewed Dan Jukes. But just be aware, you know, when someone external to your business comes in. I used to do work for Juice Plus. I used to go and speak at their events, and I was thinking, why are they bringing in an outsider into their business? Surely they already have the great leaders. So I do feel privileged where you've got some amazing leaders in this business, you know. And, you know, Bradley's one of those people that have built something and they've only just got started, you know, and all these other great people that you can tap into. Ivan Tapia is one of the most real, honest people. When you speak to him, Bradley, just send him my love the next time you speak to him and tell him, you know, because we know who each other's are. And now I heard Grant Cardone. I said to Grant Cardone the other day, I was on stage with Grant Cardone, and I said to Grant Cardone, this is what I said. There's 2 things I've learned from, well, one major thing I've learned from, if you don't know who Grant Cardone is, just Google him, right? This whole 10X thing. How many of you have heard of 10x. Just Google Grant Cardone 10x. So I said, we've become quite friendly. I said, Grant, I don't get this 10x thing. Isn't it just some sort of marketing sort of spiel? And he kind of went, no, of course not. He said 10x is when you think so much bigger that your picture is so big of what you're doing and who you're becoming that it brings into crystal clarity of what you're doing every day. So when you're literally scrolling on Instagram or you're just doing something that's so mind numbing and is not doing you anywhere, that because your goals are so big, it makes you realize how irrelevant that is. That was the first thing. And then the next thing is, I asked him, I said, Ivan, I said, I saw the interview that you did with Ivan Tapia. I said, tell me what you think of, what do you think of network marketing? And he says, it's brilliant. He says it's one of the best, if not the best business model in the world. He said, the problem with it is it's just too cheap. So people just take it, they don't take it seriously. You don't have to invest. And he said, Ivan, and then I think I said about Ivan Tapia, and he just said, Ivan's amazing. Ivan's invested into Grant's, whatever it is. What do they call that? Real estate, one of his real estate businesses. That's how much money Ivan Tapia has made when he's come from very, very humble background, but he's committed. He's playing a bigger game. So the last thing, you know, Martin Luther King, he said, the most important question we should be asking is what can we do for each other? What you guys have built is a fantastic community, and you should be really proud of yourselves, of what you're doing. But my advice, you've only just got started. You know, I charge, you know, for the speaking work I do, I can stand here and in 1 hour, people will pay me £5,000 for speaking for 45 minutes. Now, I'm not telling you that to impress you. I'm not here to impress you. I feel very honored and lucky to be here. But what I do ask you to think about is that 30-day program I put together. If you looked at that program and you thought that it was priceless and you just paid £5,000 for it, it's more likely you would actually go through it. So I'd love to come back, Dan, in, you know, ideally in 30 days, just for everyone to say, okay, well, we're having conversations based on the future that we've created in our mind. So any questions? Anyone want to say anything? Any comments? Dan, Bradley?
I'm here, Pete.
Can we get everyone on the screen so we can just, I can do something on, what's it called?
Bradley, can you?
Stories.
Yeah.
Pete.
Yeah?
Dudley's got a question.
Yeah, no worries.
He said, how do you look so young?
Must be the coffee. It's definitely that. There's no question about that. It's definitely exercise. It's definitely being inspired. Yeah, I find it very hard to think about what happened yesterday. I'm just always, maybe I'm too much in the future. But I look at all of you. Can we get everyone on the screen, Dan? Is that possible? Or is that up for me to get?
Your top right hand corner change.
Yeah. So, you know, now I get to see everyone. So obviously I know a few of you, right? So I know Alex. I know, who else do I know? I'm sure I saw someone else here I saw I knew. I feel honored that I get to be in the same room as you. I might never see you again, right? And the fact that we might have just come together and it might have been something that is said that might make a difference to your life. I was asked today, some of you have heard of Rob. Has anyone here heard of Rob Moore, this disruptive entrepreneur? I've worked with Rob for years, and he's a very interesting guy. And we were talking this morning, and he was asking me about why people don't follow through with what they're doing. I said, it's just because of the narrative. It's just what they're saying to themselves. And we have to learn, this is I said I'd said enough. If you can learn how to think greater than you feel. I met Napoleon Hill's grandson. I spoke at a convention with 15,000 people in Vegas, and Napoleon Hill's grandson was there. If you haven't read Think and Grow Rich, which I would imagine most of you have, and I was talking to him, and I said, what does the book mean to you? What do you get from the book that your grandfather wrote? And he said, what I get from the book is the importance of thinking greater than I'm feeling. Because how many of us, because we don't feel like doing something, we won't do it. You know, I have to do something tomorrow. I can tell you, I don't feel like doing it, but it has to be done. You know, when my wife was given 18 months to live 10 years ago, half of the things I had to do, I didn't feel like doing it. But what the hell did that have to do with it? If you're building an empire, right, and you're building something big and it's bigger than you, the fact that you're tired or you don't feel like it, what's that got to do with it? So I dare you to go through that 30-day program, partly because I would love to know what happens as a consequence of you doing it. But I just want to do a little story here because I want to share with the people that follow me. Ready? Do you want to do some sort, wait a second, some sort of waving? Hey guys, look at these people here. Guys, give us a wave. These awesome human beings that we're just all working together. We're talking about creating a new identity. Who's that man there? Is that Dan Jukes? Give us a wave, Dan. Yay. Right, who do I tag in this?
Pete, can I just start? Can we just finish?
Yeah, of course.
I've just asked a couple of things. Firstly, again, thank you so much for everything you've done in my entire life, let alone this call. It's been amazing. So there's two things. First thing, just because people have heard me speak about things like serving people, and this is what I learned from you, because as most people know, I was kind of like a really angry young kid when I first got involved in network marketing. But one of the things you always spoke to me about is like it's about serving other people. It's about serving other people, and then everyone kind of like thinks, yeah, I know, but doing it with a genuine heart, like it's crazy. And obviously we've traveled. I'll never forget when we went to Vegas, and there's a few things. So sorry guys if this goes on for a bit longer than you expect, but honestly, this seriously did change my life. But I remember we was in Vegas, and you would just literally walk up to anyone, like the most random person, and be like, can I help you with anything? And they used to be like, what the fuck is this guy like talk? You used to be like, is there anything I can do to help you? Anything? Can I help you with any, just the most, I used to be like, I don't understand. But then you used to like, when you used to sign so many people, I can't remember how many people you recruited into the business, but it's because you used to always focus on serving people genuinely. And that's how you build longevity friendships. And that's how you build a huge network. And that's why you have so many contacts. Because I remember we went to Matt Wilson's event, and he had all the speakers, and I didn't, Rob Moore was one of them. And then everyone would walk past me and go, oh, it's Pete Cohen, it's Pete Cohen. I was like, how do you know? You know everyone. And yeah, just talk about that, because.
So are you coming to that event, by the way, in September?
Yeah, I'll be there.
Because I'm emceeing the whole thing, and I'm speaking at it as well. And some of the speakers that are at that event, there's that guy, what's his name?
Stephen Bartlett.
Yeah, Stephen Bartlett. Yeah. So that would be awesome. But these people are just normal people to me, But the thing is, it's such a great thing. But it's two things, right? So the first one is I'd be very cautious now about who I brought into my business. I mean, I don't know about you, but I brought some people into the business that my wife was going, what are you doing? That person is clinically insane, so be mindful of who you're looking to work with. They need to be the right people, because you're bringing people, you're carrying people in this business, right? If you want them to be successful, you've got to help them have success. But the other thing is, Dan, my father was a Rotarian, right? So I don't know how many of you have ever heard of Rotary, but it's a club, right, that people go to every week. And the motto of Rotary is you seek service over self. So when my dad died, all of these letters, my dad's funeral, he died before COVID, it was packed, right? It was packed. And all of these letters came afterwards, and they all said the same thing. My dad had time for everyone. Seek service over self. That's a choice. And it's a great way. If you're insecure, don't make it about you, make it about other people. And Dan, you've become really good at that, but we can all get better at that. There was something else as well, but it's gone. So any other questions, unless there was anything else you wanted to say, Dan?
Well, that was that thing, but it was so, I mean, it's just so much bigger. I mean, that's powerful. I just wrote it down, seek service before self.
Service over self.
Yeah. Powerful.
So who's up for doing my 30-day challenge?
100%.
Everyone's in. I'll put it in.
See, he does it. I can't wait. I'll put money on Lewis. If he could do it in 5 days, he'd do it in 5 days.
Pete, one last thing.
Yeah.
And then if anyone's got any questions, guys, just put it in the chat. And
I remembered what the thing was. There you go. So how many of you have heard of a book called, I know Lewis has heard of this book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, right? Lewis, you know, we did a sequel, right? Which is the 8th habit. And the 8th habit is where about you helping, Lewis, tell us what, you obviously know it all.
Put me on the spot now, Pete. Yeah, well, I mean, obviously the 8th habit isn't one that you forgot about. It's just the next peak, right? Because there's always next peak, like you said. And the 8th habit, I guess, is encompassing the 7 habits and then empowering other people to have
Exactly. So you're helping other people find their voice. So you've had success. So the idea is then help someone else have their success. That's the hero's journey. Luke Skywalker, it wasn't all about him, right? It's not true, by the way, Luke Skywalker. It's a fictional story that he passes it on. You pass it on to somebody else. So in the 7 habits, the second habit is begin with the end in mind. So he's asking you to think about the end of your life and then to look back and imagine what people would be saying about you. But I interviewed someone the other day, a guy called Dr. John D. Martini, who I met through Rob Moore, another really fascinating guy. And he talks about what do you want the legacy of your life to be in 1,000 years? And that just blew me away. I was thinking 1,000 years, 1,000 years. What would I want the legacy of my life to be in 1,000 years? Maybe you don't care, but maybe you do care. I'd love to know, and feel free when we get back here in a month, because it will be so exciting to see who has really built a solid relationship with who they're becoming. Any questions from any? I really appreciate, just being able to talk and you guys giving me your attention. What's the score in the football, by the way? Anyone know? Someone's bouncing.
So I'll get. Oh, it's 0-0 apparently. So you're not missing much.
Don't worry. Yeah.
Someone's.
It's coming home though, isn't it? It's definitely coming home.
I'm not sure.
Terry, what do you think? Terry, you've been. I can see there's not too many ladies in the house. We've got Kelly in the house. We've got Terry in the house. What do the ladies in the house think about what I've just said?
Their voice is kicking in.
Yeah. Unreal.
You go first, Terry.
Yeah, it's I've just been doing some NLP study actually, and this is just worked in really well with it, because we've been learning about the well-formed outcome, which it's just another way of saying something that's been said many times. I take it to mean the same as the definite chief aim, but it's just said a different way. So
Terry, go on, carry on. Sorry, Cohen.
No, it's just saying what I've taken from this is to focus consciously on creating a new identity. And to do that, you've got to have a well-formed outcome. They just work together.
So I'm really pleased that you said this. So for those of you that don't know what NLP is, NLP stands for Neuro-Linguistic Programming. That's something I trained with. I trained with Richard Bandler. I traveled the world with Richard Bandler, who's he would say he was the founder of it. Other people say that he wasn't. But you know what? I'm really pleased that you said that, because the thing about when we talk about outcomes, it can be very mental. We think about it, but we don't feel it. I'm not saying that you don't, but I think the challenge that we have when we think about our future is to feel our future, to feel the result as if it's some sort of dynamic tension that is pulling you forwards. So I'd love to know what happens through you going through that process. Where are you based, Terry? Just out of curiosity.
I'm in Gravesend with
Surprise. Why is Gravesend called Gravesend? Anyone know?
There's a few different theories. It's not because it's a line of graves from London all the way to Gravesend. That's not
what I
true.
thought it was.
No.
Why is it called Gravesend?
The most feasible reason I found is that the word Gravesend, it's formed from gravis coppice, which is just basically very old way of saying forest, woods, and it's basically the end of the wooded area.
There you go,
Gravis.
Dan, you lied to me like a cheap drug.
So many people say that's what Gravesend is, that a lot of people actually believe it. That's where it came from.
Whether you believe it or not, it's true, right? Where's Kelly gone? Where's Kelly gone? Oh, there she is. So you moved on my screen. You were kind of like moved along. What did you make of what you've just said? What was your biggest takeaway, Kelly?
I think it's consistency. That's the main thing for me. I just think every book, every self-help book that I've read is always about being consistent and being just having a structure and being structured and being almost regimental in your day.
Yeah.
And it's about finishing things. So I just feel like, yeah, I feel like that.
So Kelly, consistency, right? It means a few different things. One thing it means is what's holding something together. Okay, so I really think about what is going to hold together what it is that you're creating. The second thing, when you talk about all these self-help books, you're now writing a self-help book. What you're doing right now and what you're going to do for the next 30 days, you're writing your own self-help book. It's going to be the best self-help book you've ever read because you're writing it. What do you reckon?
Sounds great.
I'm excited. What about Katie?
Yeah, the identity thing, future self, create. You said I create as I speak. That's what Abracadabra means in Hebrew. So yeah, I really believe in what you put out into the universe, you get back. Yeah.
So Katie, why are you doing this business? Of all the things that you could do, what is it that you're doing this for? Why not do something else?
I don't know. Like you said, it sort of all comes from three things, and mine was an event that happened in my life that then brought me to this at the exact right moment. So yeah.
So I'm really glad that we get to speak to the ladies first. Is that Donnelly? Is that Donnelly? Donnelly is.
Yes.
Did I pronounce your name correctly?
Donnelly, but close enough.
Donnelly. So what was your biggest takeaway from what you've heard?
My biggest takeaway was actually learning the word abracadabra.
Abracadabra.
The fact that it is of Hebrew origin, and I create when I speak. I'm in a mode right now where I actually acquired a lot of, I guess in a sense, self-help books with talking to yourself, from getting out of that negative talk, like you said, that voice in your head, to become better and different, because I know that that's something we all struggle with in life. Definitely something I struggle with as well, to this day. So I create when I speak. That is very powerful.
So thank you for sharing that. So, you know, if you see pictures of me on Instagram, you often see I've got a duck on my head, and I've written a book called Shut the Duck Up. But please don't read the book. You don't need to read any of my books. Just go through that 30-day program. The duck for me refers to the part of us that's always wants to defend, wants to hold on, doesn't want rejection. But then there's another part, and the Romans called this the genius. So the word genius doesn't mean someone who is really talented. It means the moral authority. It means the voice in someone that gets them to do the right thing. Go and look at the etymology of the word genius. Now, the reason, it's good to see Shane in the house as well. Good to see you, Shane. The reason I've asked the ladies to speak first, and I can see there's lots more people here, is how many of the men here felt uncomfortable when the ladies were speaking? Good. Because most men feel uncomfortable when women talk. This is a big generalization, and I'm not saying this is true, but a lot of women make sense of the world by talking about what they see, what they see, what they hear, and what they feel. Men, as a generalization, don't do that. But then think about this. There's a man and a woman in all of us because we've come from a man and a woman. So we have the chromosomes of male and female. So men can act like a female and a woman can act like a man. And the reason I'm telling you this is if you want to be successful in this type of business, you got to be an expert listener. You know, you got to listen and you got to hear what people are saying because it's important. You want people to feel heard, but it's not that you just want them to feel heard. You actually want to listen. And that's why that's a great thing to be able to do. And that's what your future self is telling you. I tell you, your future self is saying, be a better human being by listening more, giving your time and energy and space to people. Not everyone, because, you know, you can't give it to everyone. Any other questions? It's great to, you know, I'd love to hear from all of you. You feel free to send me a message if you want on Instagram or wherever, and just say, this was your biggest takeaway. Anyone want to say anything?
Yeah, Pete, there was someone in the chat who asked, how do we get started with self-development for someone who's very insecure? I think that's a big question, because there's a lot of people who are coming into this with you know, previous things where they're not necessarily sure on what's going on. They might not know how to break down certain barriers. So, you know, what's your
good question? I honestly would go through the 30-day program that I created. If you like podcasts, listen to, I mean, I've got 350 episodes of all my material is put out to help. I'm a coach. So the role of a coach is to take some, the word coach comes from a Hungarian word, which means coach and horses. So you go in a coach and horse because you are somewhere, you want to go somewhere. How do you get there? So if you like to listen, then listen. If you like to read, then read. I mean, there's so many self-help books. There's so many videos that you can watch. I reckon a great place to start is to start with that 30-day program and just keep it easy. Enjoy the ride. Don't take it too seriously. You know, just enjoy the process of enjoying working on improving yourself. So anybody else? What are you eating, Aaron? Not that it's any of my, what's it?
Pizza.
Pizza? What's it got on it?
Meat feast, mate. Meat feast.
Nice. Where are you in the world?
Gravesend as well.
Nice. The whole world's in Gravesend. Anyone else? Anyone else want to say anything? What do you have to say, G?
Yo. I'm just thinking about the future self, and I think for me at the minute that is a big deal, because I think I need my future self to just kick me back into touch and get my head back into the game.
Yeah. Okay. So thank you for saying that. Right? Look, you've probably done the best that you can to get to this point. So I would encourage you just to step back and go through that 30-day program and look at like reinvention, like a scientist. Don't take it personally. Don't give yourself a hard time about what you could have done, what you missed out. That's gone. All that's now. And just be curious about what you can do with what you have. Yeah, the program is really powerful because part of it is around just looking at life with a fresh pair of eyes. And I think that's what we all need to do. I think COVID has definitely woken us up to that, right? That we've got to look at the world differently to how it was looking before, because the whole world is different. You know, I don't think it's ever going to be the same again. You guys are in the right business at the right time. It doesn't matter what happened. All that matters is what's happening now, I would say, and what you're going to do. Anyone else? Thanks for sharing that, G. I look forward to seeing you in 30 days. Anybody else?
Had a question.
I'm sweating.
In private saying.
Sorry, can you speak up, Bradley?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I've just had a question in the chat saying, on a private saying, what would you give advice-wise for someone who's playing a lot of comparison, who's looking at other people's success, trading-wise, business building-wise? What would your advice be to them who are kind of others?
A total shift of that. A total shift. We live in a world where we do tend to compare. I would look at it from celebrate other people's success. I know you hear that, but find people that you want to compete with. Who in this room do you want to compete with? Who in this room? So if I was doing this business, I would want to compete with Lewis. That's who I would want to compete with. Maybe Dan, but Lewis probably more because Lewis is younger. So when I say compete, what I want to do is I want him to do so well, so massive that it inspires me to do the same. To be my, and do you see what I'm saying? It's like, I want, go on, Lewis. What's happening? Well done tonight with those 2 trades, right? Great work, right? But I want him to succeed, so it inspires me to succeed. Comparison is a disease that really eats you up when you think I'm not this, I'm not that. And when you see greatness in others, it's only because you see that in yourself. If we can celebrate what other people are doing, that takes practice like anything else, right? I'm not sure if that answers the question, but again, that program I created, I'm sure will help. Anybody else? before I go outside and throw a bucket of water over my head. Where's Rob? Rob, where are you? It looks like you're in. I'd love to know. Don't tell me you're in Gravesend, Rob, please.
I'm in Leeds.
Leeds. Yes.
I'm in Leeds.
I've made a TV program at the football ground. Yeah, that was many years ago. Another story. But what a great game. What's his name had? Was it Phillips? The Leeds. What's the name of the player in the England team?
Calvin Phillips.
Great player, hey?
Yeah.
Coming home, guys. It's coming home. Just in case you didn't know, it's coming home. All right. I think, is that it, Dan? Are we done? What do you have to say? Last words from Sir Dan Jukes of Gravesend.
I love you, Pete.
Yeah, well, I love you too, my friend.
No, yeah, thank you so much. I used to hate it when you did what you just did, because I was thinking, shit, it's coming to me, and I used to hate speaking, as you remember. So I used to be like, Dan, what do you want to say? And I'm like, oh, my signal's cutting out. But that's so cool. But yeah, just thank you so much. And well done, everyone, for just showing up and sticking.
Yeah, thank you.
A lot of people dropped out, obviously, because time went on. They got a bit bored, whatever was the reason, but you stayed engaged and everyone's still here. So can I post can you post the link, Pete?
Yeah, of course.
And yeah, just thank you so much. And everyone, if you could just, drop whatever you thought of in the chat, a word or something. Hopefully you can see it all coming in, Pete.
Big nose.
I didn't want to say old Pete, but yeah.
It is.
Right. Pete, can you put it
honestly, what? I just did.
No,
I did. Honestly, Bradley, congratulations, what you've done.
Yeah.
And, seeing this opportunity and sticking with it and what you've built. And with Dan and with all of you, I don't know all of you, but I really do think you're in the right business at the right time.
Someone said they want a one-on-one. I don't know if they want to fight or a.
You can have either.
Thank you.
Anyone that wants a one-on-one, if you can get to the end of that 30-day program, I will give you a one-on-one. I will sit with you one-on-one on Zoom, right?
Deal.
But honestly, you've got some amazing people in your business. I wouldn't go too far out to listen to people, because the people in IAM are just, they're the top of their game. Unreal.
Pete, thanks. Thanks.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure.
It means a lot.
It's a pleasure, Bradley. When we talk about celebrating other people's success, the look on his face when I won a Mercedes, he wasn't thinking, shit, why didn't I win it? He go, I know the person who won that car. He was telling everyone. And boy, did I love that car. I did. Anyway, thanks so much, guys. See you soon. It's coming home. I'll see you in 30 days.
See you soon. Cheers. See you later, guys.